Today's video is sponsored by our very own spring store, but more about that later.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Surface Interval in association with Mpora. So if scuba divers were school kids, open water divers would be the new kid in town, unsure about themselves, they just moved to town. Free divers, they'd be the kind of the hippie, the new age, kind of go with the flow kind of group. Tech divers, I don't know, they'd be like the nerds or something, comparing their gradient factors and gas mixes. But cave divers are the cool kids who, they don't break the law, they're not like that or anything, but they do push limits and they tend to be pretty good at whatever they put their mind to. Me, I'd probably be, I don't know, the teacher's pet or something, some kind of teacher's assistant who knows a lot about the subject but is still kind of learning. Cave divers, they're usually top tier divers. They know their stuff and they can handle themselves in pretty much any diving scenario. A lot of divers should look up to cave divers and look to emulate them. Cave divers, they're just badass, and whilst not everybody should become a cave diver themselves, learning a little bit about cave divers and how they do things could help a lot of divers become better. So let's look at why cave divers are just badass. When something breaks in open water, you turn to your buddy and you ascend together. Or you just kind of swim up to the surface by yourself to get some fresh air. You then take the thing that's broken to your local dive center for them to fix it. Diving in an overhead environment like a cave means that you might need to fix the problem on the go and simply make it work to actually get out. In open water, if you need to share air, you can just face your buddy, link up, heads up, and then head up to the surface. But in a cave, you might only have enough space to fit one diver through a gap, horizontal as well. You have to be able to fix the problem and have the gear to get out of that cave safely. Cave divers often know how all of their gear works on the inside and the outside, so that if something breaks, they can often repair the problem in the water whilst neutrally buoyant and continue on with their dive. If they can't fix the problem, then they'll probably have a spare. Everything is about backups and redundancy. What if my torch floods? What if this breaks or whatever it is? They'll have a backup for it. They'll have multiple cutting devices in different areas. If they can't reach one, they'll be able to reach another. Any potential problems, they're thought of, they're considered, and they're fixed even before they even touch the water. Limited visibility on a dive can be stressful, but in open water, you can always just go up and reach the surface. There's never a problem in that. But in a cave system, if you or somebody else stirs up the visibility, then you can lose all visibility. And it won't be back for days. You need to be cool and confident enough to navigate your way out of that cave and back to the surface by touch alone. Oh, and deal with any equipment failure at the same time whilst trying to find your way out, completely blind. Muscle memory, training, and discipline. You also need to be able to communicate both complicated information during your dive to another diver, but also communicate using touch hand signals, which is like a completely different sign language in itself. Feeling your buddy's hand signals, understanding them, and then replying by touch. If something goes wrong during your dive, like equipment failure or entrapment, it's just a problem to fix and move on to the next problem. No emotions, no panic, just problem solving and getting back safely. There are plenty of do's and don'ts while scuba diving, and in open water, in recreational depths, you can kind of push some of those rules a little bit and do a lot of things that in a cave are going to cause problems. You have to be on your game at all times in a cave. You can't cut corners, check in your gear. You have to be religious during the pre-dive. In the water, you're nice and trim. You're aware of your entire body, where everything is, where your fin kicks are going. all of your gear and your buddy as well. You're aware of all of that so that you're not bumping into things, stirring up the water, and you're not making any mistakes. On most dives, you stay down as long as you can until your pressure gauge drops to the red, and then you just start to make your way back up and you end your dive. Cave divers will have very specific tank pressures where they turn around and where they leave the water with plenty of excess. Just like backup tools, like a spare torch, cave divers will keep spare tank pressure as reserve should something go wrong, but not a measly 50 bar or something, an entire third of their breathing gas. No exceptions. That will give them enough gas to overcome a problem whilst reducing the chance of running out of gas, so they don't have to worry about that because they know that they have that in reserve. Caves are natural structures. Unlike shipwrecks, caves don't have logical layouts or exits, portholes that let light in, or literal signs pointing the direction in some cases. If you're diving in a shipwreck, it's still an overhead environment where you can't simply swim up to end the dive, but they typically have structured layouts and decks with passageways that are human-sized. Caves are winding, natural passageways that range from huge, open cathedral-like sections to narrow bottlenecks that you need to squeeze through, equipment removal and all, to get through. And if you get turned around inside of a cave, you can't simply work out which way to go. Caves aren't like a normal dive. You start at the surface, you swim down, you swim around, and then you swim back up again at the end. Caves can go up and down at certain points, so your dive profile isn't as neat and simple as a simple U shape. On a normal dive, you can shallow up, you do a stop, and then you continue up. But in a cave, the passage might force you up to a shallower depth where you need to perform a stop, and you then need to go back down again after that stop and then come back up again. So you do need to work on your decompression theory. Most scuba divers see things that very other humans have ever seen, but cave divers have seen things that even fewer people have ever seen still, if ever in a lot of cases. At the extremes, at a cave explorer level, these divers are seeing things that no human being has ever seen before in the history of Earth. Some places that have never even seen light, which is just bonkers to think about. If you just think about that, light has never ever touched that space until this cave diver has brought an electronic torch into that water. They are literally the first people in the history of mankind to ever be in that space and see those things. And in a lot of cases, the only animal that has ever been there, like fish as well, they don't even exist there. They're also discovering things and helping science improve. Underground waterways have been transporting water and anything seeping down through the earth for thousands of years unknown, and until we invent Star Trek-like scanning devices, we just don't know where these waterways go. But now, thanks to cave divers, we know how some larger cave systems and waterways travel and connect underground and how underground water moves. So when somebody plans to build something or dump a load of garbage in whatever it is in one particular area, the council can turn around and say, no, you can't do it there because the runoff from that area could damage farmland or water sources hundreds of miles away that are actually connected. We just didn't know until a cave diver mapped that waterway. But most of all, cave divers are just great scuba divers. They're not worried about flashy gear or only diving in the best, cleanest conditions. I mean, just look at the response to when those kids were trapped in that cave in Thailand. Cave divers from all around the world dropped what they were doing and they flew to the area to help out and do whatever they could to help. Their expertise and professionalism are second to none, and we could all strive to be more like cave divers. But why do you think cave divers are so badass? Is it just the places they go, or the gear that they use, or that they're willing to speak ill of Elon Musk? Remember that? Remember when that just kind of went away? I'm sure it's still in the news, but hey, thank you for watching everybody, and of course, safe diving.
Calling all scuba divers, want to stand out of the non-diving crowd? Do you want people to know that you're a scuba diver? Well then our very own Spring store will help you out. We stock tees, stickers, hoodies, phone cases, even mugs that all have a scuba diving theme. From our super popular emotional Bolt Snap tee, our Cave Shark sticker to our Scuba Dude hoodie, we have something for everyone. And our range is becoming more eco-friendly each month thanks to Spring's eco-friendly range. Each order is printed fresh, which means less waste, less plastic, and it's better for the environment and also helps battle clothing waste as well. To view our full range, just click on the link pinned in the comments. And hey, why not treat yourself to 10% off your total order with the discount code DSN10. That's DSN10. Okay, back to the video.